In this movie, we'll continue to look at ways to create and apply fairly sophisticated styles across your project, as well as look out for some of those little gotchas that can make working with anime frustrating if you don't know to look for them. One of those is what we just experienced at the end of the last movie. We created a style and we also applied multiple effects to it. We applied a splotchy effect and we applied a gradient effect, yet on render the only thing that showed up was the gradient effect. What's going on here? Well, let's take a look at that. And the reason I did that was so that you can see these issues and then know how to fix them if you happen to come across them on your own projects. The way the effects are applied, and let me go ahead and activate our frog skin 1. The way these effects are applied is very important in what order you have them set up in. Right now we have splotchy first and gradient second. Turns out that effect 2 usually overrides effect 1. So what we need to do is actually flip these two. Let me go ahead and change this to gradient. Our modal dialog box will pop up and I'll put in some near amphibious colors like we had been working with before. And one of the reasons I'm creating a gradient here is to kind of create that, that light on the top where light might be shining and darker towards the bottom with our scene. Click OK there, click OK. And now the old gradient on the bottom, I need to change that back to the splotchy version. Go ahead and leave the magnitude about where it is, but I'm going to change the scale back to 30 and I'm going to leave this as a monochromatic type of effect. I'll click OK. Let's go ahead and render this. And now as we render it, we can see we get this nice progression from light to dark, as was intended. And we also get this nice irregularity, this organic shape based on the splotchiness settings that we had set up. So again, to make this work, the order that the effects are in is the key for that. Well, this is a nice implementation of a style, but let's look at how we can start creating more sophisticated implementations that give you incredible flexibility across the entire span of your project. I'll close the render now. What we're going to do is create 3 styles for the frog right now. We're going to create a white soft underbelly. We're going to create the green style, and we're pretty much done with that right now. But we're also going to create a edge style or an outline style. And you can have them function together but independently of one another, and that is a huge time saver. Let's go ahead and I'll show you what I mean with that. I'm going to draw 2 more shapes, a rectangle, and I'll just draw another rectangle. I'll go ahead and designate these as shapes so we can go ahead and color them later on if we need to. Well, need to, we will be. And let's go ahead and change our styles. Frog skin 1, I'm going to want to keep this, but I want to change this style into the white underbelly style. Well, here's a super easy way to do this. I'm going to go ahead and copy this style using the copy button in the styles palette. Come up to the styles pull down option and select New right at the top. I'll name this white underbelly. Now what I want this to do is to have a white look to it, not a green look. So I'm going to paste in the old style. We've got the green fill here, which I'm now going to change to something that's just a light green. Select OK. Now the gradient is very heavily green, and I don't want a gradient here, so I'm going to go ahead and disable this right now by activating the dialog. Actually, let me go ahead and cancel that. We'll come to the pull-down menu and select Plane. This is very important, even if, and you'll see later on, if you've got effects applied, even if you disable a fill color, the effect will still go into the fill area, and I may show you what that looks like in just a second. Additionally, for this white underbelly, I don't want an outline attached to it because I want to be able to change the outline separately. So I'm going to go ahead and disable line color and disable line width. So this is our white underbelly. If we come back to frog skin 1, the original one, I also don't want this to have any type of line weight to it. I'm going to go ahead and disable this, and we can see that updating dynamically in our drawing area. Well, I'm going to copy this style one more time, come to New Style. This will be our outline style. And I'll select OK. I'll paste in the style we just copied using the paste button on the style palette. But now I don't want this to have any fill color. I don't want this to have any effects applied to it whatsoever, so I'm switching that to plain. But I do want to keep the darkness, I do want to keep the line weight. I'm going to enable line color and line width. And this means, of course, that you can apply a filter that changes the width, or a style that changes the width but not the color, if you want to do something like that. Well, now we should have three styles. We'll come back up to our style pull down. We've got frog skin, white underbelly, and outline. Let's go ahead and apply these to our shapes now. We have our frog skin, the original one. We have frog skin applied, but now I want an outline to go around this, so I'll select outline. It immediately updates that way. This is going to be our white underbelly. So I'm going to apply the style white underbelly, which has no outline information, but I will apply the outline, which does have outline information. And finally, I'm going to apply simply the white underbelly by itself right here. No outline whatsoever. We'll go ahead and render this file. And now you can see some of the flexibility that we're building into the styles palette. If I needed to, I could go ahead and change the color of the outline, and it would change across these two objects, but it wouldn't change the interior of them. Very speedy implementation. If I had multiple instances of the white underbelly, I could change the color of it and not worry about having the outline change, all by simply updating the styles that we built. Very fast, very easy way to control a whole wealth of information across your anime projects.